What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to News with Sonic, where we discuss comics, movies, games, and more. Here to talk to you about some of the Fantastic Four rumors that's going around because a particular certain MCU actor is going to finish off one of his ongoing series on Amazon Prime really soon. And what that series is, I will get to in a second, but before we get started, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click on the bell notifications so y'all don't miss anything. Post videos on the daily, live stream on Sundays from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Join my Discord. Invitation link to that is in the description, along with the links to my Twitter and Instagram. Thank you so much, guys. And now, before I get started talking about these rumors, I want to let you all know and give you a spoiler warning, because if you have not seen Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, I'm going to be talking about quite a bit of spoilers. So this is now your chance to click away so that way you don't get spoiled if you have not seen the movie. I tend to give about maybe 2 weeks after the film has premiered, so that way I can start talking about spoilers without any problems. If that wasn't clear enough, there's also a spoiler warning in the title as well. You have been warned. Let's proceed. Now, if you've all seen Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, you all know that John Krasinski was cast as Reed Richards' Mr. Fantastic, and he did play a variant of Reed Richards from the 838 universe. And because there's a possibility that he can return, this Reed Richards ended up meeting a terrible fate. Yes, he died at the hands of Wanda, unfortunately, but I gotta say, in my opinion, I think it was perfect casting. I didn't get a chance to talk about this in my review of Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness, but it is good casting. And for years now, I would say about maybe for the last 6-7 years, there's been a lot of fan casting all over the internet, just petitioning for John Krasinski to play Mr. Fantastic. And it looks like they got that wish, because John Krasinski himself, believe it or not, wanted to play Captain America in the past, but ultimately lost that role to Chris Evans. And in fact, John Krasinski and Chris Evans are real best friends in real life. So honestly, I didn't think it could go to anybody else better than Chris Evans, because Chris Evans was amazing in the role of Captain America. But maybe it was for the best, because I think the role for Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards, goes to John Krasinski. And honestly, based on the short amount of screen time that I saw John Krasinski playing Reed Richards on screen, I don't think anybody else can now do that role justice. If anything, the way he's drawn in Marvel Comics nowadays, he looks so much like John Krasinski, believe it or not. So yeah, I think it's perfect for him to take on the role, and I think he's going to continue on to play the character, and he will be returning into the main MCU canon, the 616 canon, because it's been confirmed in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness that the main universe timeline that we're watching right now is the 616, which is basically what the Marvel Comics goes by. If you read any Marvel Comics, the main timeline or the main universe is the 616 universe. And to further prove that he's going to be returning, at least this is all speculation right now, it was announced that John Krasinski's series, Jack Ryan, is actually going to be ending, and that's with season 4 of Jack Ryan. Now, I don't know if any of you have seen Jack Ryan, but it's already at its 4th season, and that is John Krasinski's action series. It's on Amazon Prime right now, so if you want to check it out, go ahead and do so. But it's no coincidence that his series is ending right when he made his debut in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. And of course, there's also rumors that he's going to be directing the new Fantastic Four movie, because recently it was announced about 10 days ago that director John Watts, who directed all of the 3 MCU Spider-Man films, has just exited the project and is no longer directing the Fantastic Four movie. So right now, as it stands, Fantastic Four technically has no director. Now I'm going to read you this article coming from cosmicbook.news, and it talks about John Krasinski and the coincidence of how his series is concluding, but he's going to be working on other projects, quote unquote. In what may be no coincidence following Doctor Strange 2, it's learned that John Krasinski is done with his Amazon Prime Video series Jack Ryan, which is fueling Fantastic Four rumors. Deadline reports John Krasinski is done with Jack Ryan as of season 4, which is currently filming, with plans in place for a potential spin-off series to take over, starring Michael Pena as another character from Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan book universe, Ding Chavez. The report doesn't mention anything about the future plans of John Krasinski, but a quick check of the actor's IMDb page reveals John Krasinski has imaginary friends in pre-production for a 2023 release, in which he is writing and directing. And his IMDb also lists Fantastic Four in pre-production, but Krasinski is only listed as rumored, quote-unquote, to be playing Reed Richards. So John Krasinski may be starring and directing the Fantastic Four reboot for Marvel Studios, and this week's Doctor Strange 2 movie saw John Krasinski introduced as a member of the Illuminati. If you do not know, the Illuminati is an actual team from the comics, and they're basically a covert think tank originally consisting of Mr. Fantastic, Iron Man, Professor X, Doctor Strange, Black Bolt, and Namor. So you've seen him already in the film if you already watched the movie. The only character that was really missing was Iron Man, and one of the characters that was added was the 838 universe of Captain Marvel and of course Mordor, who was actually that universe's Sorcerer Supreme. And they made a little bit of changes. They introduced Professor X there, but they didn't introduce him as a mutant because they haven't gotten to that point yet. They didn't think it was really necessary because if they mentioned it that he was a mutant, they would have to go into another explainer and it would kind of just throw off the film. But for the most part, they got just about every character accurately, and they did a good job, representing them on the screen with their comic book accurate costumes, which was really nice to see. So they meet in secret for a number of years, sharing information and strategy, operating relatively successfully initially, despite their unique traits and considerably differences in nearly every way. So they're a huge think tank. They're basically the world's most smartest people, and they're tasked with making the most hardest decisions out there. And those hardest decisions can involve like ending life, ending another universe, basically decisions that no ordinary person or superhero can end up actually deciding. So these characters are tasked with making the hardest choices. They're a major think tank, and they're the world's smartest people alive. While the scene doesn't come off as well, and they state that it's poorly written, worth a mention is that all the actors are the same actors as their regular universe counterparts, so that could even mean John Krasinski could indeed be starring in the Fantastic Four movie for Marvel and maybe even directing. Fans are also hoping his wife, Emily Blunt, will play Sue Storm, aka Invisible Woman. What is interesting is that both John Krasinski and Emily Blunt were previously up to play Marvel roles, with Krasinski up for Captain America at one time and Blunt as Black Widow. It should also be pointed out that it was recently announced Spider-Man director John Watts is no longer directing Fantastic Four, so again, it's speculation at this point. Krasinski may be starring in the flick and directing. So back when this individual attended the 2019 San Diego Comic-Con, Marvel insiders filled me in about an idea being thrown around in regards to the Fantastic Four MCU origin. Much like Captain America, the Fantastic Four have always been around the MCU, but they have been lost in time. And this person was told that the Fantastic Four existed in the 60s or 70s and were friends with the Michael Douglas Hank Pym character, where they disappeared in the quantum realm, and when they return, it's the present day, similar to what happened with Ant-Man. So when the Fantastic Four appear in the present day, they haven't aged at all. So that's actually quite an interesting premise for a Fantastic Four movie. I mean, how exactly do you explain the fact that they've been around the entire time? Well, you just basically explain that they've been lost in time, and that's why nobody's ever mentioned them, and that's why they've never been seen again. And for them to have to return like several decades later, it would actually kind of make for an interesting film, seeing these four individuals lost in time, kind of like not up with the times. Overall, it's just finding everything really weird around them. I mean, they've got nothing but each other, and they are Marvel's first family. So that could be really interesting to see transpire on screen, and I'm actually all for it. So I think it's a pretty good idea that if they were to actually make their first appearance in the MCU, I think they should be people out of time. It's not like we haven't seen anything like that before. I mean, we saw it with Captain America, but having to see that with four individuals, that'd be something else. Anyways, those are my thoughts on that theory. And what are your thoughts? How do you think the Fantastic Four will be introduced in the MCU? And do you think John Krasinski will be making his return as Mr. Fantastic Reed Richards? And do you think he will be directing the film? Let me know your thoughts. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click on the bell notification so you all don't miss anything. And as always, I will see you all in the next comic panel.